Hello guys and welcome to the episode 2 of Football and F1 show. Yes, we're going to talk about some, last 16 Club World Cup games that happened yesterday. Also, we're going to talk about some transfer news, even though there was a few of it in the last couple of days. And also, we're going to talk about the qualifying of Austria. So let's get started. Let's start with the FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Palmeiras beat Botafogo 1-0. They go through to the quarterfinals. Chelsea also beat Benfica 4-1. Reece James scoring the goal, 1-0 for Chelsea, and Chelsea looking good. But then Di Maria equalised at the end with a penalty to make it 1-1. And then went to extra time. Benfica went at the 10 men very early in extra time from Presteni, and then Chelsea scored the goals after that, which killed Benfica after that because Benfica being down to 10 minutes straight away, the extra time starting, effectively killed Benfica and helped Chelsea. Could go with the goals, Neto and Disbury Howe. Chelsea go through to the quarterfinals and they'll play against Palmeiras. They're a very good team, Palmeiras, so for sure that will be a difficult game. But let's talk about, obviously, and there's some games today. PSG against Inter Miami. Obviously, Messi will be hoping to get revenge in his former club because he didn't enjoy his time there, as he said before. Flamengo will play against Bayern Munich. That's another very good game. Flamengo, very, very good side. They did very well in the group stage, beating Chelsea. And they'll play against the Bayern side, who obviously are top quality side. So, two very interesting games. And you've got Inter versus Fluminense, which Inter should win. But City against Al Hilal, very interesting game. Real Madrid against Juventus, interesting game as well. Dortmund against Monterrey, which, who knows? Non-European teams, I have to say, non-European teams in this competition have done really well. Botafogo, how they did PSG, the way they did it was fantastic. Palmeiras in the quarterfinals, Flamengo doing a fantastic job and doing very well in this Club World Cup campaign, how well they've done. From Wednesday, they've done really well to get last 16 as well. So, most of the time you expect European teams to win, but you never know, So, yeah. But let's talk about some people who kind of not a fan of the Club World Cup, and I'm one of them. And obviously, some criticism come from Enzo Maresca and also Jurgen Klopp. Now, let's start with Enzo Maresca because after the game, even they beat Benfica 4-1. He said, obviously, the match between Chelsea and Benfica was obviously delayed because of the weather. However, it was delayed for 2 hours, and the game was around 4 to 5 hours. The game was around the game lasted 4 to 5 hours, and the delay of weather was around 2 hours. And Enzo Maresca called it out, saying it's a joke. It's not possible at all. We're spending a game for 2 hours. This is not football. This is not acceptable for our game. I understand the stoppage for safety, but it is probably not the right place to do such a game of football. Guys, it is not football to suspend the game for 2 hours. We have people laughing, eating on their phones. It is not the same game of football after 2 hours. It is not normal. After 85 minutes, you don't concede chances. And when you come out, you concede chances. When 6-7 games are suspended, it means that something's not working well. Right, when he says 6-7 games are suspended, he means all the games happen in this Club World Cup campaign. All the games. I think the Chelsea game against LFC, the first game, was also kind of suspended, if I'm not mistaken, or delayed, something like that. Something happened. Some of the games also have been suspended this year. I think Manchester City's game was suspended as well. It's not the first time. It's happened a couple of times this season, and it's not fair. It's not right. And I completely agree with Maresca. He also said, not normal after 85 minutes to not concede chances. When you come out, you concede chances. I agree with that. Listen, I don't watch all the Club World Cup games, but from what I heard, okay, listen, I didn't watch before the delay of weather. I didn't watch the game, if I'm being very honest. But when the delay of the weather happened, I went back to the TV and watched the game. And they conceded. Maybe they were actually right. You guys can tell me because Chelsea, from what I heard, they looked good. They didn't concede any chances. But when they came out, it seemed like Benfica were much better than them, and it seemed like Benfica took advantage, and they could have won it as well. Not only for the goal from Di Maria and the penalty, they could have won it. So I agree with Maresca. It could have costed them. It could have, cost them this. It could have made them knocked out of the Club World Cup because of these stupid things, because of the things they cannot control. So I completely agree with Maresca. I absolutely sympathize with him, because it's important that he said that, because if Chelsea lost, some people say, oh, he's saying that because his team is lost, blah 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 blah. Yeah, but Chelsea won. Chelsea won 4-1, and they're through. Okay, and they, this is saying that this is fair, And not yesterday they went to the qualifiers, they should be happy they won against Benfica, but they're also thinking like, if it wasn't for the stupid two-hour delay, we wouldn't have played 120 minutes. We wouldn't have to recharge more ahead of the game against Palmeiras. So that's the negative thing. And the recovery aspect of Chelsea, they thought like, oh, we played 120 minutes, and the game was around 4-5 hours. It took us a toll. So that's why it's so important. People say, oh, but Chelsea won, who cares? Yeah, but this kind of things, is so important. This kind of thing is so important for the mental health of the players, for the welfare. And how many times have you seen these games in the Club World Cup being suspended for some weather reasons, etc. And also the pitch. Jude Bellingham complained a week ago about the pitch in Club World Cup, the games, the pitches, the stadiums. It doesn't look great. The grass there's a problem in it. So this is something FIFA and the people from America need to look at it. Because there's the World Cup next year. Yes, it's not going to be only in USA, it's going to be Mexico and Canada, but I think the final is going to be in MetLife Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. And if it keeps going like this, then the World Cup the World Cup next year could be a disaster. It could be a disaster, and we as football fans, we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't World Cup to be a disaster. We want the World Cup to be entertaining, thrilling, and we want to see brilliant games, brilliant actions, brilliant goals, brilliant fighting on the pitch. Not, things that are not related to football, as Maresca mentioned. So I completely sympathize with Maresca, because it's a joke. How many games has been suspended this year in Club World Cup? How many times? It's not the first time. Many times. And Jurgen Klopp also was another guy who criticised the idea of the Club World Cup, and saying the Club World Cup expanded format, because obviously he used to manage in the Club World Cup with Liverpool and won it, but obviously it was different. It was like all the teams who won all the teams who were the best teams in their continents and won the titles. Okay, they come to play in Club World Cup, except the hosts, the host champions, the local. Like if it was in Qatar and Al Sadd won the Qatar League, they get to play the Club World Cup even though they don't win the Asian Champions League. So Jurgen Klopp said, he labelled the expanded Club World Cup the worst idea ever implemented in football due to its impact on player workload and recovery time. Again, I couldn't agree with more. I couldn't agree more with Maresca, and I couldn't agree more with Jurgen, because again, like, you're making it more difficult for the players. Like, the players had a long season with the expanded Champions League format, with the long Champions League games. The last thing they need is more games. They need a rest. They had a long season, and for them to straight away to play the Club World Cup with there's so many games. I mean, like, at some point players are gonna go in a strike with these so many games. So again, and it's not like this Club World Cup expanding idea. Nobody has asked for it. I don't think anybody said, "Oh, this would solve the problems in football." Nobody asked for it. Nobody had a desire of having that expanded Club World Cup format. Nobody asked for it, but they do it because of the money. There's absolutely no doubt about that, and for the shows and the views, etc. So, yeah. And also some transfer news. Paul Pogba signed for AS Monaco, confirmed, as I said, a couple of days ago that he was going to sign for Monaco. Now it's confirmed, and yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I talked about everything. Keith Andrews, who's the guy who's Irish, is the new head coach of Brentford, replacing Thomas Frank, who obviously went to manage Tottenham. I mean, he's a set piece coach as well. I mean, it's a very risky move from Brentford. However, since they got promoted, they haven't put a foot wrong. So you kind of give him a chance, because if they pointed, then they must have seen something on him. They must have seen something. Otherwise, they wouldn't have appointed him. You know. So, and I praise Thomas Frank, who's done an amazing job for Brentford, and arguably is the best Brentford manager in their history. So for Keith Andrews, who was a set piece coach for Brentford, who has experience, in coaching a bit in Brentford, but being a head coach the main man is completely different, of course. Is it going to work out? I don't know, but let's see. Hopefully it's not going to end badly, because Brentford, they must see, like I said, they must see something in him. It's very risky, but let's see. Who knows? He might work. Let's see. So yeah. Now let's move on to Formula 1.